Do you remember seeing Northern Lights
Yeah.
for the first time?
I was born here, so it was many years ago. Maybe in the 50s, 1955, something like that.
You were
But
how
5, 6 years old. I can still remember it. I look at I think I was 5.
how did you feel about
What?
it? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was a special feeling. Yes, you feel small. Yeah.
And how do you feel about it now when you see it?
Yeah, I have lived here so long, so I notice it, but it's not a big thing. I see for some years ago red Northern Lights, and it's once in my life. It's very strange that I see it once, and it was a little bit special.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
Yes, I was very small, and I lived in a place called Harsprånget. It's south of Gällivare, and I was maybe 3 years old, and it's sparkling, you know. It's only the light, and it's sparkling. It's like thunder and very, very cold. It's my first time.
Okay, and what emotions did you feel?
I thought it was spooky. You know, I was so little. I thought maybe it's the war. I don't understand. So little I was. Yeah.
And how do you feel looking at them now?
Now I am very glad to see the Northern Light for the tourists. I'll be glad when they can see it. I have seen it so much. And the Japanese, they have they say if you make love that night, it is Northern Light. It will be very, very happy children.
Pamięta Pani, jak pierwszy raz zobaczyła Pani Zorzę Polarną?
Oczywiście. Pamiętam chyba każdy raz. To jest niesamowite wrażenie, niesamowite uczucie, niesamowite widoki. To jest całkiem coś innego niż widzimy, czy w Polsce na niebie jakieś refleksy, to jest niezapomniane, tak. Wygląda po prostu jak balet na niebie, balet kolorów.
Za pierwszym razem jakie takie uczucia towarzyszyły Pani?
Że to jest nierealne, że po prostu patrzę na coś, ale mój mózg nie dowierza, że to w ogóle się dzieje, że to istnieje, tak. No bo dla nas to jest całkiem coś nowego. Nowe doświadczenie, także to jest niesamowite. Po prostu się stoi i się patrzy i się nie wierzy.
A teraz? Coś się zmieniło?
Coś się zmieniło? Chyba nic się nie zmieniło. Za każdym razem Zorza jest inna. Inaczej to wygląda, inaczej się to na niebie rozkłada. To jest natura, tak? Nic nie zdarza się 2 razy tak samo. Także zawsze jest jakieś takie wow, jakie to jest piękne, magiczne, niesamowite. Także myślę, że to nie powszednieje. Tak mi się przynajmniej wydaje z mojej perspektywy. Tak nie wiem, gdybym mieszkała tutaj 20 albo 30 lat, ale podejrzewam, że to jest tak niesamowite doświadczenie, że to się nie zmienia. Zawsze jest to taki wow i stoisz i patrzysz, tak.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
No.
Okay, and now when you see them, how do you feel about them?
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And aren't you maybe kind of bored when you see them for the?
Yeah, you
Another time.
can say that.
Yeah. So.
We are not going out every night to look for the polar light.
Pamiętasz, jak pierwszy raz widziałaś Zorzę Polarną?
Tak.
Tak. To był koniec lata i dopiero co zaczynało się robić ciemno, bo mamy tutaj dzień polarny oczywiście, więc przez długi czas nie było w ogóle możliwości zobaczyć zorzy. No i w końcu pojawiły się te jako takie noce. Pamiętam, że poszłam nad jezioro i zobaczyłam dosłownie przez ułamek sekundy zielone światło, które tak naprawdę było niczym, ale ja zaczęłam krzyczeć i byłam strasznie podekscytowana. A następnym razem już to była taka prawdziwa zorza, dużo tańcząca i znowu były bardzo duże emocje. Ludzie strasznie dziwnie reagują na zorze. Niektórzy krzyczą, niektórzy płaczą, niektórzy zaczynają się panicznie śmiać. Ja się właśnie tak panicznie śmiałam i starałam się nie krzyczeć, ale było ciężko.
Dalej widzisz te zorze tak teraz, to jak teraz się dowiadujesz? Bo zakładam, że wiele razy już ich widziałaś.
Trochę się przyzwyczaiłam do tego, no bo to jest jednak tak, że wraca się z pracy i praktycznie codziennie można zobaczyć zorzę, jeżeli jest czyste niebo, więc no ciężko się do tego nie przyzwyczaić, ale już za bardzo nie reaguję, kiedy ona jest taka, kiedy nie jest bardzo silna. Wtedy po prostu zerkam i jest, coś tam się dzieje. Ale kiedy jest taka naprawdę wyjątkowa, no to te emocje są zawsze. Człowiekowi po prostu dech zapiera i no magiczne emocje za każdym razem.
Do you remember first seeing the northern lights, the auroras?
First seeing Aurora?
Yeah.
Maybe 3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe. Yeah.
And how
3
did you feel?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing because I see first time Aurora in there. So for me it's amazing view because sky is clear and now it's green light everywhere. Oh, it's fucking amazing.
Okay. And how do you feel now?
It's not good, not bad, because January and February is terrible weather, and sometimes it's not good weather, so I can see this aurora.
Yeah.
So this winter is not good.
Do you remember seeing the northern lights for the first time?
No.
Yeah, and how do
I remember the last time, that was a few days ago, but no, I don't remember the first time, no.
do you, like, I assume you've seen them many times,
Yes.
so how do you feel about them now?
It's very different depending on how you're feeling yourself, I guess, and it's all very different every time. So it's just, sometimes it makes you very happy.
How old were you?
Ooh,
Like, approximately?
approximately 40.
Oh wow, so you're not like, you moved here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not born from here. I'm from the UK.
Yeah, that explains the accent. Yeah. And what kind of emotions did seeing the Northern Lights for the first time bring?
The first time I saw it, it wasn't a very big aurora. It was only a small aurora. So I thought it looked pretty cool, but it wasn't that emotional. But 3 days later, I saw a really big, giant aurora which totally took over the sky, and that was pretty emotional. Yeah, that was very different. Yeah.
And how do you feel looking at them now? Like, are you fascinated by them or just don't
Yeah,
care
well,
anymore?
I mean, I work here as a guide taking people out to see Aurora, so I have seen thousands of auroras. And it's funny because my clients ask me the same question. They're sort of like, are you not sort of bored of seeing the aurora? And I always sort of, because I'm taking clients out who may have never seen it before, so even if it's a low aurora, you know, and it's just a green band, might have clients that are crying, and therefore I still get excited because I see their excitement. But if I see a really big aurora where it's filling the sky and fast moving, it still completely fills me with wonder.
Have you already seen the Northern Lights?
Not really. The last year we stayed in Iceland, and we are a little bit stupid. We look to the south and try to see the Northern Lights. One day we saw it a little bit, but not so much. I think it was the wrong place.
Okay.
And perhaps a little
in the
bit
middle
the
of the
wrong
night,
time.
early in the morning at 4 o'clock, where we stay out and looked, but not so good.
And when you saw them for the first time, what did you feel? Because it's quite exotic, I think.
For me, it was a special feeling. We knew that there is a connection between that the northern light is coming from the sun, and there are some planets where you can see this phenomenon too. And yes, it was special to see it.
Oh, okay.
For me. For my husband, not so much.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
I do. I just got to Abisko in November, and someone told me the lights are out if I hadn't seen them. So I went outside and checked them out, and they weren't that really bright that night. They didn't look very green to the naked eye, and I thought, well, aren't they supposed to be green? That's what I thought.
How did you feel about, what emotions did you feel?
I was really happy to see them, and I was excited to take pictures of them because the camera really picks them up well. And I didn't know really much about them as far as what they look like to the naked eye, but it was really neat to see them. It's a really neat experience, even though they were faint.
Okay. And how do you feel about looking at them now?
Now, I've been here long enough to see some really bright lights, and sometimes mixed emotions, I guess, because it's a tourist town kind of here, and people come to see the lights, so everyone wants to see them really bright, but honestly, it is nice. But anytime they're out, if I can look up and see them, it just makes me happy, because it's just a nice feeling to know they're there.
So do you remember the first time you saw the aurora?
Actually not.
Okay. And was there a memorable time for you?
Up here, the aurora is so common for us that when we see aurora, it's not so very special for us. But when we were children, we were told that if we waved with a white blanket, the aurora will get us.
Oh,
So that's something I remember from when I was a kid.
Have you already seen the Northern Lights?
Yesterday night.
Yeah,
but
some of them, but
a bit.
not so bright.
Okay. And what emotions did you feel when you saw them? Because it's quite exotic for people that not live here.
No, it's a bit mystic, you know, like yesterday we went with the snowmobile, so we went up in somewhere around here in the top of the mountain, and yeah, without any sound and just watching at the sky, it was very mystic as an experience.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that much strong, you know, like it wasn't like the video that we have seen on internet.
Oh, yeah.
It was like I felt that much.
So a lot of hope and
Yeah.
a mystic moment, like waiting for.
So when was the first time you saw the aurora?
When was it? 2 days ago. Yeah.
And what did you feel when you saw it for the first time?
Excitement, I would say. It was very exciting to see it.
Okay. And was it like you expected it to be, or was it a bit different?
It was actually what we expected, these, because people told us what to expect.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember seeing them for the first time?
No, not really. I've lived here all my life, and it's always been up there.
Okay. And well, you don't remember the first time, but maybe you remember what emotions did you feel when you saw them first time?
I don't. I think if anyone who has not seen the Aurora Borealis will probably think it's very amazing. But when we live here, we've seen it all our lives.
Okay.
So it's just like watching the sun go up or go down.
Okay.
Do you remember the first time you saw the aurora?
Oh, when we were small boys, we don't actually look after the aurora, but it was there. It was in the sky from the Earth's beginning, I think.
And what was the feeling that you felt? Maybe not the first time, but when you remember.
Also, now you see, now it's a lot of tourists coming to the north of Norway and north of Sweden to look at the aurora. They come from the whole world, and actually after they come here, I was looking at the aurora too, and we think it's very beautiful. It's light in the heaven, and you can see it moving, and a lot of colors, and it's really nice.
And so now when you see it, how do you feel?
No, I don't feel. You only look in the sky and say, oh, there's aurora. we call it nordlys in Norway.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
Yeah, I do. Shall I tell you?
Yeah.
I think I maybe recall it since I was 7. I was lying on the ground in the snow, and then it came all over the sky, and I was so scared. I was running into my mother and said, "Mama, it's the spooks. It's gonna take me. I don't want to be outside." Yeah, that's the first 7 years, I think.
And how did you feel? Like,
Scared.
What emotions?
Scared. It comes like that, you know, very fast and so much. It's felt like ghosts. Yes.
And how do you feel about them now?
I think it's beautiful, of course, but I don't go out and look for it. I have seen it all my life. But it's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can say here also, when you have all this beautiful area, you also like the sun, when the sun comes. And you also like all the other things as much as the aurora.
Yeah.
Of course.
Have you already seen the Northern Lights?
Yesterday, a little bit. Yeah, just a glimpse of it, but with the camera you could see the green light, yeah.
Okay, and what emotions did you feel when you saw them? Because quite exotic.
Mixed feelings, to be Yeah. honest, because you always see the pictures and you think like it's super strong, like green in the sky, Yeah. but it was more like a shimmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of cool to see how it moves and how it gets lighter and how it gets darker. Yeah. And also like on a hunt, because we were really trying to see it. Yeah.
Have you seen the Northern Lights by any chance?
Unfortunately, no. So
Oh.
one of the reasons why we're coming here is to get a chance and look at them, but nothing yet. Last night we drove from Kiruna almost all the way up here, trying to get something, but no. So.
Do you remember when you first saw the polar light?
Yes, it was here. I had some friends who told me that they were northern lights, so I get out of the village to not be polluted by lights. And then I saw like it was mostly white, like white clouds in the sky. And but so later on I saw other northern lights which were more green. So I was happier because it was more of my imagination, like. But it's nice, it's beautiful.
So, do you remember seeing the Northern Lights auroras for the first time?
No, I don't think I remember the first. No.
But what maybe something around this time? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I've been here. I lived here 10 years, and it must have been one of the first winters. It could actually have been. Yeah, I came in August, and in September. Yeah, in September, I think. That could have been one of the first. I was up to Lochtashoka, so, and I know there was huge auroras that night. So there was another hiker and me, and we stayed up a long time and looked at it. And I think there may have been some. I don't know if the Perseids could still have been. So there's some comets that come in August all the time, but because there was, and I didn't know so much about the auroras at the time, so I thought that was strange. How can there be, it looked like almost like explosions or star falls. Yeah. So then later I understood what it was, but at that time I remember I didn't know what it was. I had to ask. I figured I have to ask somebody. Can auroras be like that?
Yeah. And what emotions did you feel? Can you recall?
I was, surprised, I suppose, and happy. It is beautiful.
Yeah. And how do you feel looking at them now?
Yeah, it's become more since I've been here for 10 years and also worked as a guide. So it's become more like. A little bit like ordinary, everyday thing. So I'm more used to it now, but I think the emotions are maybe still the same, because it is always or almost always a surprise, and it's also very often a joy, and particularly if you're out there with some groups and you're the guide, then you're happy that you have happy guests and that it's kicked out.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
For the first time? we had it around since we were kids, so for us it's something is there all the time. We see it, we like it, but we don't really thinking about it.
That would be like asking, do you remember your birth? No, I don't.
Czy pamiętasz swój pierwszy raz, jak widziałeś zorzę?
Tak, pamiętam. To było tutaj w Abisko około 6 lat temu, kiedy przeprowadziłam się tutaj. I pamiętam, że byłam bardzo podekscytowana, tak na granicy zdenerwowania. Myślę, że jak wiele osób, które tutaj przyjeżdża, zastanawia się, czy będzie ta zorza, czy się uda zobaczyć, a jak się już ją zobaczy, to czy będzie naprawdę taka bardzo zielona, czy będzie tańczyć. I pamiętam, że ta, którą ja zobaczyłam, była dosyć taka efemeryczna. Pojawiła się, troszkę się poruszała i zniknęła, także było to dosyć magiczne przeżycie dla mnie.
A jakie emocje czułaś?
Tak, to jest bardzo ciekawe pytanie i ja pracuję w Abisko jako przewodnik i często nakłaniam moich gości do tego, żeby zadali sobie takie pytanie. Wyobrazili sobie, że jest XVI albo XVII wiek i przyjeżdżacie tutaj jako osoba żądna przygód albo jako misjonarz. Nie ma wówczas jeszcze internetu, a nauka jest raczej nastawiona na inne aspekty. I widzicie tę Zorzę Polarną po raz pierwszy. Co byście myśleli, co byście odczuwali? Czy interpretowalibyście Zorzę jako coś złego, jako zły omen, czy jako dobry omen? Czy wydarzy się coś dobrego, czy wydarzy się coś złego? Czy to może koniec świata, czy to może po prostu jakiś obóz dusz, duchów gdzieś tam w innym świecie nad wami? Moje odczucia były takie, że ja interpretowałam tę Zorzę jako może niekoniecznie coś dobrego, niekoniecznie jako dobry omen. Pamiętam, że było bardzo cicho, bardzo zimno, wręcz lodowato i ta Zorza była taka nie z tej ziemi. Nie było w niej nic takiego ciepłego, więc moje emocje były takie raczej chłodne.
A teraz, jak oglądasz zorzę, to jak się czujesz?
Tak, już ją widziałam wiele razy. kilkaset można powiedzieć i oczywiście po czasie przyzwyczajamy się do tego. Żyjemy z nią tutaj codziennie, czasem nawet wieczorem wychodząc z psami albo wynosząc śmieci, w takich trywialnych okolicznościach też ją widzę. I ja raczej staram się patrzeć na nią z takiej innej perspektywy, a mianowicie rdzennej ludności samskiej. Samowie zawsze oddawali dużo szacunku i respektu Zorzy Polarnej, wierząc, że to są dusze ich zmarłych przodków, które podróżują między światami. I myśląc o tym, że oni oddawali i oddają Zorze Polarnej tyle szacunku, sama też to robię. Więc nie myślę o niej jako o czymś takim bardzo codziennym, tylko staram się myśleć o Zorzy Polarnej z perspektywy rdzennej ludności, czyli o czymś po prostu bardzo podniosłym i specjalnym.
And now when you look at them, how do you feel? Like, is it just a normal experience or?
Yes, for me it's a normal experience because
Yeah.
I grew up here, I'm born here, and I actually born in a national park.
Oh wow.
So I've been there, and I
Okay.
spent lots of time outside when I was a kid.
Do you remember the first time you saw the Northern Lights? Or?
I think I do. You know, I actually am not born here. I'm born in Germany, and I've lived with my parents in America for many years.
Wow.
And somehow then I came back to Germany to take care of my grandmother, and eventually I got jobs there, and I had holiday, and I came to Sweden, and somehow when I came up here, I always looked back, or ended up in the end, I ended up living here. I met a guy, we lived together here, and so here I am still. But yeah, Northern Lights were when the first time as a tourist saw them. I was very fascinated, and before that I had actually been reading about how they how do you say that? Well, how the particles come in from the sun and into the atmosphere and bump into the molecules, and you end up getting Northern Lights. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
So when you look at them now, how do you feel?
For me it feels every time I'm so happy to be here, and it still is very special. It's such a fantastic phenomenon.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
Yes, of course. My first time was in Greenland when I was 10, and I was in a hotel, and it was very late in the night. We were in August, so the night came very later, about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But we saw them very well, and it's like a snake, a green snake in the sky. Yes, it was beautiful.
And how
it was my first time.
Yeah. And how did you feel? What emotions?
It's like I don't know, a magic moment, because you don't know where it comes. You don't know how you can see that, and it doesn't seem of anything in Earth. You can't see that somewhere, and only in the sky, and only in the north countries. So yes, it's like magic, and we know the physics phenomenon about the northern lights today, but at the time, maybe in the antiquity, or maybe it was like some spirits, or when I don't think people understood what it is.
Okay. And how do you feel looking at them now?
So now it's very cloudy, so I don't think we will see any northern light today and tomorrow, but maybe later in the week. And it's the same feeling that when I was 10. It's really a magic moment.
Do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
No, I don't. I was very small.
Okay, and now when you see them, what do you feel? Do you like them, or?
I don't really think about it that much because I see it so often.
Okay,
it's every day almost.
So, do you remember seeing the Northern Lights for the first time?
Absolutely not. No. Since I'm from here in the north, it's been from when I was a small child. So I can remember, like, not specific events, but I can remember, like, when we were kids and, like, our parents told us to look up to the sky and stuff like that. But no single event, because it's common in a sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And how did you feel? Maybe you can recall, like, one of the first times.
Like, as being a kid, if we go back to, like, early time seeing it, I wouldn't say there was a special feeling. I could definitely tell that, like, being a grown-up and when you see these amazing lights during, like, occasions, that feels really cool. To see that and, like, all the sky is lit up and everything, that feels really, really cool. But I cannot, I would like to say that it would be, well, with me being a kid, seeing that would be a grown-up thing.
So now you feel like when you see Aurora's sky now, so that you feel amazed, right?
Like, I feel happy about I mean, it's complex, but, you know, as the winters, like, at least if we say December, January is kind of dark, at least for 4 weeks, every bit of extra light we get is nice. And also, like, when we get that aurora in night, it's like, it's not so dark up here. Like, we got the moon and we got the aurora, so it feels cool in that way. But also, like, with all the colors, I mean, you can watch it in Ave and, like, wow, it's cool. So it's double. It's both the amazing colors, but it's also, like, not so dark up here. We got this, yeah.
Thanks a lot. That's all.
Cool.